I started to consider myself a Baha'i when I turned 18. I am 27 now, so I guess that's roughly 9 years. I had grown up learning about the Baha'i Faith, knowing about it from my family, but I never really considered myself a Baha'i until that age. And the reason why I became a Baha'i was because I was able to interact with many Baha'i friends, many people that belong to the Baha'i community, and it was very impactful to see the love that they had for each other, the love that they had for people who were not necessarily part of their community, and also their desire to not only improve themselves as individuals, but also to serve society in general without any type of discrimination. So yeah, that really touched my heart, and it drew my attention towards the faith. What would I tell others who are searching for spirituality? This is a very difficult question, but I'll give it my best shot. We should think of spirituality as something that is not just idol worship or blind imitation, or that contradicts findings of science or logic, for example. I think that's a common misconception, that we think of spirituality as this, and then reason and reality as the other thing. So I think when we're trying to find spirituality, we should find something that really complements these two things. Because reality is not fragmented, but instead it's one. Right? So I think those are some thoughts that I would give.
So my grandparents became Baha'is in the 60s, and then my parents became Baha'is when I was 2. So I actually grew up a Baha'i, in a Baha'i household, and I would attend Baha'i feasts at my grandparents' home. But when I reached the age of maturity in the Baha'i Faith, which is 15, I had to decide for myself whether or not I was going to be a Baha'i. And one of the fundamental principles of the Baha'i Faith is independent investigation of the truth. And so my parents encouraged me to look at other religions, investigate other religions, and decide for myself if I wanted to be a Baha'i. And so actually throughout high school, I attended different churches. I started an interfaith group with several friends from different religious backgrounds, and we would study different texts from different religions, including Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, and Buddhism. But for me, ultimately, I became a Baha'i because I felt that the Baha'i Faith was the truth for me, and that the Baha'i Faith had the message for this day to bring unity and heal the ills of society. And then also the personal connections. I met many wonderful Baha'is. In terms of what I would tell others concerning the search for spirituality, I think number one is the independent investigation of the truth. I think in today's society, sometimes the truth isn't prioritized as much as it should be. And so if you're on a journey, really seek out the truth, keep an open mind, and look at all the different world religions, and see what religions will make an impact in your life and how you think you can build a better world.
I'm Susan, I'm a Highland Park resident, and I've been a Baha'i for about 30 years. I was raised in a Lutheran church. I loved everything I heard about Jesus, but I always thought there was a little bit more to the story. For many years, I would read about other religions and take away things I liked. So I kind of pieced together my own spiritual identity. Why I became a Baha'i? Well, I had kind of an epiphany moment when I started reading the Baha'i teachings, which said that all the major religions were the same, like chapters of a book. And then I learned the Baha'i principle about the equality of women and men. And then I learned that there were no authority figures in the Baha'i religion, and that each person is responsible for his or her own spiritual path, and not the clergy. For me, I instinctively wanted the actual words of a prophet from God, not human interpretations. This opened the door for me to trust. I attended classes and I studied the Baha'i Faith for several years, and then I became a Baha'i. Interestingly, the Baha'i writings showed me that Jesus has an even more profound station than I had ever imagined before. What I would tell others who are searching for spirituality, Well, look at the world with fresh eyes, never stop asking questions, serve others, and enjoy the journey.
Hi, I'm Doug Marshall. I'm a resident of Highland Park and I am a Baha'i. I was born into the Catholic faith, a small town in upstate New York. And by the time I got to high school, I was starting to question things and search for more and stuff. Had a lot of questions that weren't getting answered. So I basically became atheist, agnostic, something like that throughout high school and college. And got a wake-up call one day in college. This was probably the beginning of my spiritual quest because I had been into science a lot. And I saw a phrase that said, and God said E equals MC squared, and there was light. And that was really a big eye-opening, made sense to me of science and religion both being two paths to the same truth. So from that point on, I started, reading a lot of different things, all the religious, texts and writings that I could get my hands on of, Hindu, Buddhism, and maybe some other things that were strange and whatever. And by the time I was about 25, I had then read the whole Bible cover to cover and was a Bible-believing Christian. And it seemed like right after that, I moved to Chicago and somebody introduced me to the Baha'i Faith. And what I loved about it was from the minute I started reading it, it reminded me and seemed like exactly the same voice as what I'd read in the Bible. And so I started reading it and I recognized it as being true and beautiful. And then with some prayer and investigation, I decided that this is obviously the way to go, and I became a Baha'i. And then as a Baha'i, we have a lifelong task of deepening ourselves in the writings of all faiths and the Baha'i Faith. And the more I read and became deepened in the Baha'i Faith, I just loved everything that talks about the principles of equality of men and women, the oneness of humanity. And then I progressed through that, and then I just couldn't get enough of the life and the community. Very important too, the community. Baha'is living in a certain area together, having a life together, doing things together, teaching projects, deepening in the writings. So then wanted to just tell you that I think some reasons why you should investigate the faith is it's true, it's beautiful, and it is relevant for today. We believe in progressive revelation, and the Baha'i Faith is the latest of the revelations, and it's dealing with exactly what's going on in the world today and how we can change the world and become part of one humanity. Thank you.
My name is Tom, and I've been in Highland Park for over 35 years. I was raised in Dubuque, Iowa, and a very Catholic family, lovely family. And I guess the basis of my education for the rest of my life was the teachings that the nuns gave me. These Sisters of the Blessed Virgin Mary taught me in grade school and as well as high school. And the skills that they gave me regarding math and reading, but I'd say mostly discipline, was the things that took me through the rest of my life. Because everything I did in sales or anything else I did was all based on the things I learned from them. So my hat goes off to the sisters. I lived in California and Carolina and moved back to Chicago in the mid-'80s, and we were looking for a place to get married. And it turns out that someone suggested going to the Baha'i temple. We didn't even know what it was, where it was, anything about it. So we ended up getting married in the gardens at the Baha'i temple. And the service was very pure, and had a violinist, and we had readings from the Bible, and we had readings from the Baha'i Faith and John Lennon songs. But it was a very pure and simple service. And I think that's what got me off the journey of investigating the Baha'i Faith. We then took some classes there at the temple from a gentleman for a few weeks or months. And just the teachings and the writings of the Baha'i Faith from Baha'u'llah are really very simple and pure, and they're the crux of the whole religion. So I became a Baha'i a few years after our marriage, and had a little trouble getting to the next religion because of the foundation of Catholicism and the fact that it was probably taught to my child and couldn't get over it or whatever. But being the first member of the family to be a Baha'i was really a privilege. And for that reason, it was very exciting to become a Baha'i. I just love what they've taught me about the importance of being born noble versus born with original sin. Being born noble has probably changed my whole life, the accountability to stay noble. For those that are looking at a religion or searching for a religion, there probably aren't many people that are really searching for a religion, but keep your eyes open. You just never know. That's what happened to me. And fortunately, I stumbled on and became a Baha'i, and it's been a wonderful experience. And I hope you enjoy that as well.
How long I've been a Baha'i is since I was age 17. And so that's most of my adult life that I have been a Baha'i. And I learned about the Baha'i faith from a classmate in school. He heard a speech I gave and asked me, he said, after listening to you, I think you'd be interested in learning more about the Baha'i faith. I had been searching for my spiritual grounding, and I had been reading Buddhist philosophy and other philosophers and looking at other religions, and I just said to myself, I will search until I have an understanding of what God wants of me. And when I met the Baha'is and learned about the faith, I decided I'd become a Baha'i. And I was raised in the African Methodist Episcopal Church, and I really love the church and I love Jesus. And I have never given up or lost faith in Jesus. As a matter of fact, by being a Baha'i, I have an even deeper appreciation, understanding, and love for Jesus. And also, I have learned to understand, get to know, and love other faiths, as well as Moses and the Jewish faith, Muhammad, the Islam, and Buddhism. And from then, I have been growing. I've been very happy, and I am able to reach out and be together with other people in a strong bond with a sense of unity and belonging. If someone else is looking for their own spiritual path, they want to search their own spiritual path, is that they trust in God, truly believe that God will guide them, and God will. And I personally found it because of being grounded in Jesus. I really opened up and could see my own spiritual life expanding. Now when I encounter hardship and difficulties, I have an understanding that these things are here, these things are happening to me and around me to help me learn, grow, and understand God, more about God, and bring me closer to God, and how I can empathize and embrace other people in this world, and embrace all of humanity for who they are and how they want to be loved and respected.